All right, we're live. We're live. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, guys. Hope everyone
Good
is having a
morning,
fantastic
everyone.
day. Yep. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day, though. I'm trying to pull up something we're just discussing briefly to see if I can get the tweets. But yeah, what do you think about the bounce we saw yesterday evening? We saw a brief bounce. What do you think?
Well, this time, we don't even know if to be happy for a bounce or
Mm-hmm.
to not be so happy for a bounce. You get, because normally we were like, okay, we're expecting, let's just stay maybe in still in the 90s or slightly go a bit lower, because now
Yeah,
our viewpoint is for the dominance to keep dropping, right? This is
yeah,
basically what we want, right? But now we
yeah.
saw it's not even so much of a bounce, like too much bounce, but we saw some bounce from Bitcoin. I think it's in 91 or 92 now. So
Yeah.
that did really negatively affect alts because it's not too much of a bounce. And we've been seeing some alts try to make some move, right? No matter how small it is. We talked about Sora that we talked about like a day ago, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Sora has done more than 20% for anyone that got in. So this is like the sweet aspect of swinging, right? So these tokens give you new entry. These tokens give you uh, money, for you to hold on to. So let's see what's going to be happening later in the day. So maybe we should look at some news like the one you sent me
Yeah,
earlier in the day about
I'm I'm trying
Vitalis.
to pull it. Yeah, I'm trying to. Okay, let me just share my screen briefly. What Vitalik said. And for those just joining,
Good morning, guys. Yeah.
welcome. So feel free to drop questions if you have questions or some stuff you want us to look at. Feel free to drop it, and
You guys
feel free to
know
also.
you know how we do it. So as you're in, don't forget to say good morning to your friends. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share the link, get somebody in. Let's just make it like a morning ritual, right? Where you, as you get in, you say GM, you share the link, you just get somebody into our conversation. So before we dive right into news, so
Yeah. So Vitalik. This tweet was made by Vitalik, and it was captured by some other platforms. You can hear me, right?
yes, I can hear
You
you.
can. Okay. It was captured by some other platforms where he was saying that it's more like a warning, though, that quantum computers could break Ethereum and BTC by 2028. And the crazy thing is 2028 is just like 2 years from now because we're almost in 2026. That's like the next 2 years. Now, when I saw this tweet, first of all, there's nothing bullish about this tweet. You get there's actually nothing bullish. So, if at all, this tweet is supposed to be like a bearish tweet that is supposed to make most persons panic. You get and start maybe
Mm-hmm.
selling off, or even not even want to accumulate more Ethereum or BTC because you're arguably talking about the blue chip cryptocurrencies here get talking about Ethereum and BTC. The only crypto that is older than Ethereum is Litecoin. Okay, that's the only one that is like older than Ethereum. Or there might still be a few others though, but that's what like the major ones that's like older than Ethereum, just after BTC, LTC. But yeah, he's calling the top blue chip cryptocurrencies by market cap and saying that they are facing a threat currently, and by 2028, that threat would come to reality where most of these blockchains would be like hacked. And the first thing I was thinking, especially since yesterday we saw the issue with Cloudflare, where most platforms couldn't function,
It's
even
crazy.
X.
Yeah.
Okay, X couldn't function. And Deck Screen, I was trying to do some stuff on Deck Screen, and Deck Screen was not even loading. Like Deck Screen was totally down.
Even
You get
CoinGecko,
yeah,
ChatGPT, all of them, they were
yeah,
down.
ChatGPT too. ChatGPT too was also down. It's raised some concerns like, okay, and Vitalik was not tweeting this stuff today. So what's now the solution to all of this? You get what could be
I
like
think
a
I think the
possible
major
solution?
challenge with this tweet is not what the tweet contains, but who said it. You get, it's
Exactly.
Vitalik that is making this statement. Assuming it was maybe some
Yeah,
scientist, or yeah, but this is like the founder of Ethereum, one of the voices of crypto, making this comment. That means, oh, he has seen some things, or they are currently working on something that he knows of. So it's really a bearish news, to be honest, right? And
very.
I don't think the market really reacted to this news, because maybe because in the past we've heard about this, they say, oh, in 2030, in 2035, quantum computing and all that stuff, or maybe because the market already is shitty. So this news didn't really, assuming maybe market was pumping, and then when this news came out, maybe something would have happened. Maybe this
Yeah,
news is not yet priced in. I don't really know, but this is not like one of those. It's not a news that we're expecting in a market like this, that we are hoping that alts would start moving.
yeah. And another thing that got to my mind was we know for a fact that blockchains are more proof to hacks, and they are way more transparent than our traditional financial system. So if you're already saying that they can hack these blockchains, okay, then what would that say about our traditional finance? That means they can shut down the banks then. Quantum computers can shut down banks. They can shut down certain applications. They can just shut down a particular social media platform. In fact, to an extent, they might even shut down the internet. They can shut down, they can attack certain
Yes.
cloud hosting platforms and just bring everything down, if that is what you're saying. Because for them to hack a full blockchain, it will take like a whole lot of re-engineering. You get, like,
Computing
it will
power.
take
Yes.
a whole lot. So the bigger threat is not even about Bitcoin and Ethereum. The bigger threat is about our actual financial system, because currently crypto is still tied to traditional finance. Like currently, either we like it or not, it's still tied to traditional finance. Most persons invest in crypto to like increase their worth, make money, you get those kind of things. Fewer persons use it on a daily basis as total financial freedom. In fact, even when you're looking at the stable coins are actually pegged to what is in the bank. You get, so the stable coins on chain are pegged to traditional
Mm-hmm.
finance. That is like literally what is happening, which is why most persons were trying to create like an algorithmic stable coin that is not necessarily tied to
Stable coin.
anything,
Yes.
yes, that is actually on the bank. We're trying to create something that is like an algo stable coin that isn't really tied to that. But so far, so good. The vast majority of the crypto ecosystem products, even if we move to reward assets, even if we start talking about stocks, tokenized stocks, and or bringing all those things on chain, it's still tied to like traditional finance, like a whole lot. So these are conversations that I believe most persons haven't dived very deep into them, and it's something that we should have, like we should have those kind of conversations as we mature into the whole ecosystem and innovations and all. We should have those conversations, very very necessary. So that's about that. I think next we should move to some other stuffs happening. Let me just stop sharing this. We should move to some other stuffs happening in the market. So the bounce we saw, I spoke about this briefly yesterday on Twitter Spaces. The bounce we saw was majorly because of the Trump news, the tweet he made. And we'll still look at the charts to see if there's a chance that this bounce will still continue, or if we're still going to head back down. So towards the end, we'll dive into the chart and do a bit of analysis on the BTC chart. But yeah, aside that, that bounce was based on Trump's tweet. And Eric Trump, one of his sons, this morning has been talking about every major bank. I saw where he was being interviewed and he was saying every major bank, I think it's 2026 or thereabout, every major bank will start supporting BTC and all of those things. Now, these are all bullish news. Sincerely, these are all bullish news. That's why I said that we are not in a bear market. Personally, we are not yet in a bear market. We are just seeing BTC correction. If you remember in the last bull run, we had BTC correction from, I think when it got to about 60 something K, It corrected about 40 something. Okay, after which it now made a new all-time high. Then before it was all the way down afterwards. Yeah, we saw that. And people also fail to like understand that the 2022 crash that we had, it was due to so many black swan events we saw Terra Luna crash. That was what made BTC
A
crash below
lot.
30. Yeah, Terra Luna crash was what made BTC crash below 30K. That's May, June. That was what crashed BTC below. If not, even as BTC was correcting, the market was still holding up. You get very well. Some alts were pumping, doing well. BTC was, I think, around 40 something K. But when that Terra Luna crash happened, BTC went below 30. Then the FTX crash that happened in November, either November 10th or 11th, around that period. That FTX crash was what took BTC below 20K all the way to almost 14K. You get to almost 14K. So most persons need to like understand that most of these dumps we saw there, it wasn't just necessarily because of it's a bear market. They were things that served as catalysts, like black swan events. So right now, unless we see one very crazy catalyst, like a huge black swan event, that might send BTC to like 65K or maybe even worse. But aside that, everything we're seeing now is just like a normal, regular, very standard and usual correction. And also for those expecting BTC price to keep going down so that alts can start pumping, the catch there is BTC price does not necessarily need to keep going down for Bitcoin dominance to keep dropping. Even as we are at 90K, 91K right now, alts can start appreciating in value. Immediately altcoins start appreciating in value, what you would see is BTC market dominance will keep dropping because alts are now stealing more percentage of the overall market cap. You get, so that's also some things that people need to factor in. BTC doesn't need to keep crashing for BTC market dominance to go down. Alts can keep appreciating in value, and the same thing can still happen basically. Yeah, so let's look at tokens of interest. Let's briefly look at some tokens of interest right now. So I'm sharing my screen. After which,
When we started, we talked about Sora, which
yeah,
we talked about Sora, which we mentioned like a few days ago. So this is just like an idea where if you keep on swinging, you can
yeah,
actually make good of this whole dump or this whole market retrace. Because now Sura yesterday went up to around the 3.4 million dollar market cap. And this was
yeah. It did
something that
like
went as low
30%.
as 2 million.
It
Yeah,
did over
so
30%
it's
for,
actually
yeah.
it's actually good for this kind of swings, because in markets like this, your long-term bags are dumping heavily. So if your swing bags is getting you some form of money, it's always a good thing.
I agree. I agree to that totally. I agree. Yeah. So just briefly, let me go back. We can see BTC. BTC is just at 91,400. We'll look at the charts afterwards. We'll look at Bitcoin charts to like be able to speculate what to expect from the chart. Then looking at the top gainers, the major reason why we're looking at these top gainers is just to see if we can spot maybe a particular narrative that's trying to set up. Maybe if we can spot anything like that. The only narrative we've seen within the last 2 to 3 weeks is majorly that of privacy coins. So looking at this, you can see that memes are beginning to pick up. Like Giga. Giga is an old meme. Funny enough, this is actually a very old meme. So we can see like some meme coins bouncing, and Stacknet is still moving. Stacknet is moving based on the privacy. This is an exchange token. Whitebit is actually an exchange token. So looking at this, you'll just see random projects, basically, just very random projects. And if you look at all of the projects, I'm sure it'll be more of memes, because it was a similar thing I saw yesterday. It was more of memes. And you can see some Solana memes here, seeing aura farming. Zora farming is obviously on Solana. It used to be very good for swings back then, but it's been a while I did any swing on it. This is basically on Binance Smart Chain, and it's been performing well for some days now. Last I checked was at 900K over the weekend, and now it's about 2 million. So it's been moving well, but I didn't buy it though. I did not buy it. I think I just wasn't moved to buy it. So if we look at Gigo, one of the projects were actually still holding. So Giggle is still at 135. Personally, I'm expecting this Giggle to move above 150, 160. It's yet to. If we still look at Sora, yeah, it's at this morning. Sora, let's see. Okay, still at 3.1 M. Yesterday when we were talking about it was at 2.4 million or thereabout yesterday morning. So it got to 3.4 yesterday and it has retraced to 3.1. Looks good to get to about 5M. But personally, I haven't taken profits for my swing. I'm still actually holding it. And there's still some other projects we've spoken about, so many others. If you also look at Ori, I think Ori is still relatively at the same price. If you look at Ion, I think Ion should still be relatively at the same price. Okay, Ion corrected a bit to about 16M. It actually corrected a bit to 16M. So if you check this, it's here. This is Ion here. It's actually corrected a little. So let me just move to the chart. Let's look at the chart. Yesterday, I said that I wasn't taking too much trades. It was at yesterday. Reason was because I needed to observe to see the direction Bitcoin will be moving to. Like I needed to see a clear direction because yesterday BTC was still around 89K when we were having this. So I needed to see like a clear direction. If not for the tweet from Trump, most likely we would have still gone lower. So I'll share my screen. Let's look at the chart. Please, for those that are watching, feel free to invite anyone you want to invite. And we do this every morning. And ideally, we intend doing it for just 20 minutes, but sometimes it might go past 20 minutes. So feel free, if you're watching from Twitter, feel free to retweet. Feel free to share the link to anyone you want. If you're watching from YouTube, feel free to subscribe and maybe also share the link to anyone you have in mind. So I'm sharing my screen now. Let's look at the charts. Please let me know. Can you see my screen briefly? I just added it now. I just added it.
Yeah,
I should be able to see it.
Can see it.
All right. Yeah, so we spoke about Zcash yesterday. We spoke about it yesterday, and I did say that I wasn't actually trading it because yesterday when we were talking about it, it was still at 500 and something. It was, I think, around this price yesterday when we were talking about it, very close to 600. And I said it yesterday that I wasn't going to be taking any trade on Zcash because from what we know, because yesterday it was around this price, somewhere here, that's where it was. From what we know, it would most likely correct to the range of 500 and maybe worst case 400. That's where to correct to. So it's best for us to wait for a bounce. Now, if you notice, it actually did come all the way down and it tapped into this fair value gap, the 4 hours fair value gap that we have. Then it did like a brief bounce. Let me switch to 1 day charts just to see if, yeah, we still have that fair value gap there. So it went all the way down to the 4 hours fair value gap and it tapped there before it did like a bounce. That's what happened here. Tapped in it. You can see this was marked out and it bounced based off that BTC bounce yesterday too. Bounced, and right now it's trying to like maybe go to retest this position again, maybe to continue its upward trajectory. Next, let's look at BTC. If someone were to take this trade, person would have gotten in anywhere within this fair value gap and with the stop loss outside of it. But let's look at BTC. So let's look at BTC. We were expecting BTC to come all the way up. This was, I think, on Monday, so that we can short from here. That didn't trigger. And it went all the way down to this fair value gap from last year, and it filled it and it bounced. Now, if you notice something, it bounced to this previous order block. By the way, this is a 4 hours chart for people that are watching. It's a 4 hours chart. So it bounced all the way to here, this breaker block. Let's see, that's where it bounced to. It bounced to this point on the 4 hours chart. It bounced to here, and after which it's rejected. Now, what am I expecting? This is what I'm expecting. By the way, I entered a long. I entered a long on BTC. I entered a long this morning, and I entered from a fair value gap on, I think, either the 1 hour or 15 minutes chart. That was where it was like a very impulsive trade that I took, yes, from here, the fair value gap. That was where I entered that trade, and I had my stop loss at 88,500. This morning was when I got into that trade, because when I woke up this morning, I saw BTC dumping, so I just rushed to the chart and I saw there was a gap, so I entered the trade. And where I'm expecting it to get to is somewhere around here. That's where I'm expecting it to get to. So I got into the trade at this open and close point here. That's where I got in. So just in case you want to get into this trade here, you can still jump in on the trade. It invalidates if it comes to 88,500. That's where my stop loss is at. So should it go below this point, then most likely it will still continue diving. Yes, so for me, it's a fair trade. It's a fair trade personally. I see it as a fair trade. So if we were to bounce, another reason why I took that trade too is also because we went above this zone here. We actually bounced above it, and it's only fair for it to correct back to here before taking off. So if it takes me out, no problem, it's fine. I've weighed my risk to reward. Whereas if it chooses to go up, what I'm going to do is this. If this trade starts going up, I'll keep adjusting my stop loss and my TP. That's what I'll do. This is my TP. I'll keep adjusting it. And my stop loss, I'll keep adjusting it. Now, the reason is because we're beginning to see some very bullish statements from both Trump and his sons. And he has also tweeted about sacking Powell and knowing the replacement that he would bring. So those are like tweets with some ingredients of bullish sentiments in it. So I'm just looking at capitalizing on it. Basically, that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at capitalizing on it. So let's take some questions. Let's take questions. If there's any question that wants us to look at anything on the chat, then we'll still jump into the chat. So GM everyone, GM, lots of GM here. Yeah, so GM to everyone. GM to everyone. Yeah, okay. Let's see which is actually the first question. Okay, GM, the bounce really didn't impact altcoins like Litecoin, AVAX, etc. Do you see dominance dropping this weekend? You know, there's something we've said that most times, Fridays, the market dumps on Fridays, starting with BTC. Fridays, we tend to see a dump. Mondays, we tend to see pumps. Mondays, we tend to see pumps. Friday, we tend to see dumps. So it's to expect, if we don't see anything upward movement between now and Thursday evening, Friday morning, to expect that we might still go down further. The only reason why we are expecting an upward movement is because of the tweets. You get, the structure hasn't necessarily changed. It's if BTC is able to pump above 94, 95K, that's where we'll say, okay, the market structure is like trying to shift, you get. But for now, it hasn't really on the higher time frame, it has not changed, unless we were on the lower time frame, which was why I took that long position, because of it on the lower time frame, and also because of the news coming in. Yeah, so you won't expect it to affect odds like LTC, AVAX, and all. won't really, because most persons that react impulsively based on those kind of news, they will just rush and start trading BTC. They'll just rush to like spot buy or long, things like that. Please, any updates on Ruji? If there are still prospects, okay, that's Space now. Over to you, Space now on that.
So talking about update on Ruji, yeah, there's this prospect on Ruji, right? But I'm not buying any more Ruji tokens or advising anybody to buy Ruji tokens. Same thing with like EO or color pool or something like that. It's just the ones you already have, you keep up tabs with what is happening in this in the ecosystem. So for Ruji, they are still basically building. They are building, they are shipping. There's an update that is coming up soon. So and they are really very active, even in their Telegram or in the Discord. You can always see what they are building. You can always ask them questions about things. I still have my Ruji in the contract because staying in the contract is profitable for more Ruji. So if Ruji goes up to do well, the monies you would have made accumulating Ruji tokens would actually be worth a lot. So I'm still in the contract. I'm still tracking what Ruji is building. We just haven't seen that price correlation. We just haven't seen marketing or market push yet. But I think everything for them is stage by stage, and probably we might start seeing marketing later next year or something like that. Yes.
Okay, hope that's clear. So some other person is saying he said last week that LFG will launch. That LFG launch will impact the price. Yeah, they moved the launch. They moved the launch, and we've spoken about that. It's majorly because of market sentiment. That's why they moved the launch. For me, I'm still holding my Ori bags, looking at still accumulating a few more. But currently I'm still holding it. Someone is asking any chance for a cake pump. Yes. I still expect cake to pump. But most importantly, what I'm expecting to see from the cake team is I'm expecting them to kind of like come up with a similar move with Uniswap. I'm expecting them to mirror what Uniswap dropped that they are planning to do, because cake is very profitable and they're making so much money, and they are obviously, not even arguably, they are obviously the biggest DEX to get on Binance Smart Chain. This is aside Asta that just came up and all, but they're arguably like the biggest DEX on Binance Smart Chain. And they have lots of services, like lots and lots and lots of services that they have. So they can choose to do almost anything. So I'm expecting them to like at least to have that competitive edge, and in good spirits and good sportsmanship spirits to come up and announce something similar that would also make the cake token start pumping, because sincerely the cake token has underperformed for the longest period of time. It's quite bad. For the very longest period of time it has underperformed. So briefly before we round up, let me just share a trade that I'm also looking at on AR. So this is a trade that I'm looking at. Last time I got into AR, I was stopped out of that trade, not based on SL, but it hit my break even because I didn't protect profit. So it hit my break even and took me out of the trade. So now I'm in another trade again, and that position you can see is still around my entry for AR. Now this is majorly because AR has massively corrected, like massively, after the rally it did last week, or I think last week or thereabout, where it got to almost 8 point something. It has done like a huge correction back to where that move started, and it has filled all of the gaps. You can see all of the gaps down to the last one. So here we have lots of orders here and lots of buy orders at this point. So I just took my entry, and my stop loss is below these orders that we have. So I'm actually in on this trade, watching to see how it plays out. But if BTC dumps to 83K or thereabouts, this trade will most likely be invalidated. But should BTC pump, this trade should do well. Should BTC pump, this trade should actually do well. So just in case you're interested in taking the trade, you might want to. It hasn't broken out yet. If you can see it, it hasn't yet done like a breakout. It attempted to yesterday, but it did not close above. It attempted to yesterday, which was when I got in on the trade. That yesterday when we saw that pump. It attempted to break out yesterday, but it did not close above it. Looking at it, and I didn't take profit or do anything. I still left the trade. So I'm still in the position. So just for those, and it is still at entry. So in case you're looking at getting in, you can see the entry point, you can see the stop loss, you can also see the full take profits, you can see everything. Yeah, so I think that's all that we'll be taking for today. And I'm sure we've answered. Do we still have any questions? Okay, we still have some questions. So somebody is asking, please, if Sasomis is holding their Ori bag staked or is it unstaked? For me, it's staked. For me, actually, the bags are actually staked for me. And confirm if okay, I think we've answered this. It's staked actually. What is the SL? Okay, I just called the SL. Let me open it again briefly. 3.49. That's my SL. 3.49 for that particular trade. That's the SL. For the AR trade, yeah, I've called it 3.49. The CHR ecosystem is taking shape, but it will take long for it to benefit investors. What's your take? I think as long as they are still constantly building and innovating. If you notice, before they were pro gaming and they have metamorphosed to talking more about AI. You get it? They are still talking about gaming, but they are more talking about AI and taking advantage of the way they structure their blockchain to like build AI related platforms, which is what they are pushing into it, eval. Okay. So Chromia is one chain that if you notice, most times when they say a particular thing about their blockchain, they love to build something to show how well that thing can work on their blockchain. That's one thing I've noticed about them. Same thing with gaming, same thing that they're doing with AI. They try to build something to show that, oh, this stuff works and it's possible with our blockchain. Yeah, so I think we've answered all the questions. Please, if you intend to drop questions, it's always good to join early. We start 10 a.m. sharp. I think that's +1 UTC, sharp 10 a.m. That's when we start. So it's always good you drop your questions so that we can attend to as much questions as possible. For the other questions that we did not attend to, we've done over 33 minutes. It's past 20 minutes time that we expected to spend. And once again, we appreciate everyone joining to watch. If you're joining from Twitter or YouTube, we actually do appreciate. Feel free to share the link, invite anyone you want to. We'll be doing this again tomorrow morning, and we do it Mondays to Friday. Thanks, guys. Space now, I don't know if you have any parting words this morning.
All right, guys.
All right. So bye, guys. So soon, maybe soon, we'll soon start sharing like our profit cards for some of these trades. In due time, we'll start sharing most of those things. And also from the audience, maybe people that also took them and made profits or hit SL, they would also have to like enlighten us on that. So as we progress, we'll do all of those things. But for now, bye, guys.